Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Young with Hearing Solutions Centers, and today we're going to be the third of the series. We're going to talk about which types of in-ear monitors are best. Coming right up. Which ones are best? Well, we need to give you a little bit of background, and we have to start with the wiring. Now I'm going to show it up here. We'll show you a picture on the side so you can see it a little bit better, but this is a two-pronged hookup. Now, this is a very common, sometimes you see a three-pronged hookup. Why is that a good or bad thing? Well, you see, my friend Matt Donaldson is one of those violent drummers. He's a lot of fun guy to watch him. That's not a bad thing. That means he's just all over the place. He hooked in his in-ear monitors on the top of it, broke the puppy in half. And I had to, use all my influence to get the manufacturer to repair it at no charge. That's why you see a local audiologist, because that's really, really important. You see, these dual plug-in points right here on the wiring is a problem. They break off in there all the time. Now, one thing I like about Westone is that they have a little silver rounded hole, and that goes into the inner monitor. So it goes in just like this, pops in, it can spin around, it's not a problem at all. And we have seen this improve performance for a lot of people. And guess what? It still is the weakest link. Anytime you have a wire with that kind of hard piece, it's the weakest link. And so you've got to be prepared to replace these. We do this and there's no charge for 2 years. We have them in office, and this is something that we worked with Westone to find the right kind of things and have them in office. Send off your broken ones. And that's something that we do here in the Tulsa area. Now, I've already talked to you about custom in-ear monitors versus non-custom. Custom goes down there and gives you as much as 31 decibels of knockoff of sound. This is giving you maybe 15, more normally about maybe 10. Do you really want to protect your ears? I bet you do. It should be important to you, but it also helps you hear the sounds better. And that's why you need custom. We've already talked about that, so I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Another thing I want to share with you is the impression of the ear. So I'm going to tell you the story. So we used to do the Wanamaker Gun Show. This is a huge, huge gun show in the Tulsa area. And we would do this because we would go out there and talk to people about, protecting their hearing. And I'm watching this guy, and there was a couple other competitors, and this guy comes in and he's making an impression of the ear. Now you're taking an otoprobe and poking it down to the ear, so you have to have good depth perception. But he's got one glass eye. He barely can get it in, and I'm watching. And I can't believe my eyes. My wife is like, turn away. I can't turn away. It's a train wreck. He's got, and he pulls out the impression, it's barely down into the ear canal. I was so frustrated. I called up the state of Oklahoma. I said, dude, can't you guys, regulate these boys? And here's what they said. If they're making impressions for in-ear monitors or any other kind of ear molds, they don't have to be regulated. As an audiologist, and even hearing aid dispensers have a $1 million, $3 million policy. That's to protect you, the consumer, so that you have a good impression of your ear and that we don't mess you up. What do you want to do? Do you want to have a great impression that goes all the way down into your ear and have the right abilities with it that's going to last you year upon year? Or do you want to have some guy that doesn't know what he's doing? And we are seeing some of the in-ear manufacturers utilizing a scan of the ear. What they'll do is they'll put a little scan on the outside, this little kind of rubbery piece, and that just kind of tells the overall sizing of the ear. And they'll shoot the scan in the ear, and they'll shoot all the way around. Now, the scan itself is not the problem. The technology is just fine. What is the problem? Now, I've seen more than 20,000 ears. 1 out of every 5 ears that I even see have a little bit of wax in the ears. Now, if it's a tiny bit of wax in the ears, it's not going to be a problem for hearing. Everyone has a little bit of wax. But when you're making an impression of the ear, when you physically put the impression material down, it'll go into the ear and expand around the side of it and just smashes that thing up. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't hurt you, doesn't hurt the impression one tiny bit. So it's something that we do every day. And many times we have to tell them, hey, wait a second, I know that looks like a divot, but it's not, or this is what it is. And I'm communicating all the time with my manufacturers when we have customized impressions. But a scan doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know that that's just a bunch of hair and it's really gonna go flat against it or not. Scans don't work. Lastly, I wanna talk to you about drivers. Now we're gonna get into this quite a bit more in our next session, but drivers are receivers or speakers. Now, I know that we think about, the most drivers in the ears win. It's not exactly that case. If you're a jazz musician and it's a very quiet, easy atmosphere, maybe a dual driver is plenty good enough for you. You could have a 5 driver, it's cool, but it's not gonna do a lot for you. If you're in a band where there's a lot of instrumentation, there are bands, there's a worship group called Elevation Worship. It took me a little while because I'd heard it. Elevation Worship actually has 2 drummers, and one of them's playing the digital drum and one's playing the analog drum. That's some next level drumming, and it had this really beautiful overall effect. And when you have that kind of problem of listening to the sounds, you need to have more drivers in there. I'm going to talk a lot about that because there's so much misinformation about it. We want to give you that information so you know the truth, because we always share the love with people, but we sometimes have to give you hard truths, but we never give you those hard truths without love. And so come to us. Come talk to us. We're happy to help you. Get an in-ear monitor by an audiologist. Very, very important. Who knows what he's doing. Subscribe and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.